I wanted to make a video for you that emphasized the importance of sleep and the physiological reasons for it. First, let's take a look at a diagram of the brain. And this video could be in the brain or nervous system section of the course, or it could be used in the circulatory section of the course, because the cerebral spinal fluid is something that I talk about with respect to being a part of what I call the circulatory system. Not the cardiovascular system, but the circulatory system. And they're all connected to the cardiovascular system, of course, to get the fluids all clean through all the filters you have in your body. Lungs, kidney, so forth, and lymph nodes. So we start out, there's 3 ventricles. Actually, there's 4 ventricles. There's 2 lateral ventricles, number 1, 2 lateral ventricles. And the 3rd ventricle then is here, sort of in front of and anterior to the tree of life in the cerebellum. And then below the cerebellum is the 4th ventricle, labeled number 3 here. So in each of these ventricles, cerebral spinal fluid is produced. Well, it really is plasma that just leaks out of the capillary bed. And then it moves out through the cerebral aqueduct and joins the fluid that is produced by the leaky capillaries in the 3rd ventricle, and then combined they go down through the to the 4th ventricle, down through the cerebral aqueduct again to the 4th ventricle, and then finally it spills out through lateral and medial holes or apertures into the subarachnoid space, and it goes down the spinal column and then back up. So it wraps around and bathes the cells in the spinal column, and then it comes back up. And of course it's bathing all the cells in the veins, in the brain really. And then it follows them into the subarachnoid space, if you follow the arrows, around to the venous flow. This blue area is the venous flow, which has from the arachnoid membrane a bunch of microvilli, just like in your intestines. And inside those are veins. And so this fluid is absorbed there to get back into the bloodstream. It doesn't go through a lymph system because there's no lymph nodes here. It goes back into the bloodstream, and it is dumped with all the other blood into the cardiovascular system, where it all conjoins at the subclavian vein, and then goes back through the cardiovascular system, where it can be detoxified by the liver, and where toxins that cannot be recovered as usable molecules in some other form by the liver would go through the urinary tract and through the kidney and be disposed of. So that's this part of the circulatory system. It's very important, because if this doesn't happen, then you can have permanent damage, and we're going to talk about that. Sleep deprivation is very important. The next thing I want to talk about is the fact that this cleaning, this resorption of this toxic-filled cerebral spinal fluid or lymph happens only when you are asleep. So Jeff Lift discusses some of the research they've done on a TED Talk, is where he discusses it, where you see the green? Okay, this is cerebral spinal fluid being pumped throughout the brain from the subarachnoid space, but only when you're asleep. So this fluid cannot bathe the brain cells and pick up the waste if you are not asleep. That's pretty amazing and helps explain why a lack of sleep for a long period of time can cause serious brain damage. Very serious brain damage. Finally, a disc jockey in 1959 named Peter Tripp, and this is a YouTube video about him. Peter Tripp's sleep deprivation for a fundraiser on the radio live went over 200 hours without sleep. Now, the interesting thing is that doctors in this video talk about what happened to him, and they thought he was going to be all right, but at the very end of this, he suffered enough strange brain changes to where he was not the same person, according to his wife. They ended up getting divorced, and he ended up dying at a young age. He was never the same. He suffered extreme brain damage from lack of sleep. And this is all documented, 1959. So there's a lot of videos about sleep and sleep deprivation. There's a lot of websites that are medical websites that discuss it. So the important thing is you will do better if you get sleep. And there are some other videos, I don't remember where I saw them, but there's some other videos about why you should sleep that are TED Talks also. So it's important. Get some sleep. Some of these pictures may interest you. But they're related. This one is not worth watching, and it's not true. But you must get sleep in order to do well in school, in order to do well in life, and to be healthier and live longer. Okay. God bless, and we'll talk to you later.